The chandelier light made my temples throb. More than 800 people sat below the stage. Champagne, cold appetizers, and the overpowering perfume on the women in the room mixed together until the air felt dizzying. I stood at the side of the stage, clutching that oversized bonus check. $1.1 million. After tax. I had earned it by spending 11 months in Africa. 2 armed conflicts. 3 bouts of malaria. Wearing protective gear in a mining zone where the ground temperature hit 122 degrees. Working 12 straight hours at a time. Ava Carter walked toward me in 5-inch heels. She wore a burgundy deep V evening gown. A diamond necklace resting against her collarbone. She was beautiful enough to be on a magazine cover. But the way she looked at me was colder than how she looked at the security guard by the door. Sign it. She slapped the pen against my chest. Transfer the bonus to Ryan Holt. The crowd below buzzed like water coming to a boil. A few guys from the engineering department clenched their fists. But no one dared speak. Ryan stood half a step behind her. Wearing the Armani suit I had bought last year. His tie was perfectly knotted. And the corner of his mouth lifted slightly. Like he was enjoying a ridiculous comedy. Ava. This is the project bonus I risked my life for. You risked your life. Ava scoffed. Without Ryan helping you organize the data. You wouldn't even have finished the PowerPoint. Liam Stone. Don't embarrass yourself. Ryan stepped forward and lowered his voice. Liam. Ava is only thinking about the company. I'll hold the money first. I'll split half with you later. Okay. Shut up. I said. Ava frowned. Liam. What the hell is wrong with you today? Sign it. Don't delay the annual gala program. I looked down at the paper. $1.1 million. If I signed, everything I had earned with 11 months of my life would go into Ryan's pocket. People in the audience had started recording. Phone screens lit up like scattered stars. Sign it. And when we get home tonight, I can pretend nothing happened. Ava leaned close to my ear. Don't sign. And you know the consequences. Her perfume made me want to throw up. Suddenly. I laughed. Ava froze. She probably had never expected that reaction. Pen. I said. She shoved the pen into my hand. I uncapped it and signed Liam Stone on the bonus transfer agreement. The handwriting was neat. Each stroke clear. Ryan's eyes lit up. And he reached for it. I did not give it to him. Ava. I looked up. Do you remember why I took this project? Is now really the time for this? She sounded impatient. You said that after this project was done, we would live properly. You said once this deal closed, you would tell your father that I could carry real responsibility. Ryan cut in. Liam. What's past is. Shut up. It was the second time I said it. I turned and walked to the center of the stage. Behind me, the huge screen happened to show a photo of me in the African mining zone. In the picture, I had lost 20 pounds. I was so dark I looked like a piece of coal. But I was smiling like an idiot. I took the microphone from the host. Ladies and gentlemen. The entire room went quiet. Just now, I signed an agreement transferring my $1.1 million project bonus to Ryan Holt. Ms. Carter believes Assistant Holt contributed greatly to this project and deserves the larger share. The room erupted. Ryan was standing at the edge of the stage, smiling so hard he could barely close his mouth. But when I signed just now, I forgot one thing. I lifted the oversized check. The core technical license used for this mining project comes from my personal invention patent. The patent ownership is under my name. It has nothing to do with the company. Ava's face changed. When we signed the project contract, I told legal very clearly that the technology license was only for this project. How that patent is handled is up to me. Since the project bonus has nothing to do with me anymore. Then the technical license. I paused. Is revoked. Ava rushed forward and nearly twisted her ankle in her heels. Liam Stone. Are you insane? The project hasn't been fully delivered. If you revoke the technical license, who takes responsibility for the breach? Whoever takes the bonus takes responsibility. I looked at her. Ms. Carter, discuss it with Assistant Holt. I'm not good at math, so I can't tell whether 1.1 million is enough to cover the damages. Ryan's face turned deathly pale. The breach penalty was triple the project amount. $3.3 million. Even if he threw the entire $1.1 million bonus into it, he would still owe $2.2 million more. Liam. Ava's voice began to tremble. Get down here. This is the annual gala. 8,000 people are watching the live stream. Perfect. I said. Live streaming is good. Saves me from holding a press conference. Ava rushed up to me and lowered her voice. Liam. Don't force me. You know my father's temper. If you revoke the technical license, the company loses far more than $3.3 million. What does that have to do with me? I asked. Ava. I turned the microphone toward the audience. You say I'm your husband. But for 11 whole months, you walked in and out of this company with Ryan Holt like a couple. When I was shaking with malaria in Africa, you were posting vacation photos from the Maldives. The day I came back, you told me to take an Uber home by myself. The noise in the audience surged. People raised phones. Others whispered to each other. Ryan charged over and grabbed my arm. Liam Stone. Stop talking nonsense. Smack. I shook off his hand. He stumbled back 2 steps and slammed into a speaker. Ryan Holt. Last March. That $100,000 travel expense you reported to finance. Were you really in San Francisco? Ryan's pupils shrank. Ava jerked her head toward him. Liam. Ava screamed. The room completely exploded. The live stream camera pushed closer until the lens was almost on my face. Ava grabbed my sleeve. Her voice so low only I could hear it. Do you even know what you're doing? This is our family's company. Our family. I lowered my head and looked at the hand gripping my sleeve. Her nails had just been done, glittering with tiny diamonds. Ava. You haven't come home in half a month. Our family. Which home? I signed the transfer agreement. I don't want the $1.1 million anymore. I lifted the microphone. I will send the technical license revocation letter today. Legal department. Please prepare the termination process. Liam. Ava broke down. Her shout made the entire room fall silent. Get on your knees and beg me. Get on your knees. And I'll pretend none of this happened. The bonus is still yours. The technical license doesn't get revoked. The sound of people gasping was painfully clear. I looked at Ava. Get on your knees and beg me. Liam. Get on your knees. Ms. Carter. I cut her off. You're mistaken about one thing. She glared at me. I'm not your husband anymore. I said. When I get home tonight, I'm moving out. The divorce agreement will be in your email tomorrow. Ava's makeup had run. Her eyeliner smeared into a dark streak. She shoved the microphone back into the host's hand, turned, and walked off the stage. Behind me came her voice, breaking with tears. Liam Stone. Stop right there. I did not turn back. Mark from engineering rushed up and slapped my shoulder. Liam. You really? Later. I walked out of the banquet hall. The moment I passed through the hotel's revolving door, my phone vibrated. Ryan sent me a WhatsApp message. Liam. You think you won. Ava's dowry includes 30% phantom equity in the company. If you divorce her and leave with nothing, what are you going to use to fight a lawsuit? I glanced at it and did not reply. Locked the screen. The night wind poured into my collar. My phone vibrated again. An unknown number sent a text. Mr. Stone. Does the technical equity agreement from 5 years ago still count? Lowell from legal. I stood by the road, staring at that text. 5 years ago, Ava's father had made me sign a technical equity agreement. My core patent was valued as an investment, giving me 10% of the company's shares. I signed it. Ava locked it in the safe and said it was a wedding gift. I never saw it again. I typed back. Where is the original agreement? The reply came within seconds. Chairman Carter's safe. But the safe is empty. The original has been with me for 5 years. The streetlight snapped on with a pop. My phone vibrated a third time. Ava was calling. I did not answer. Behind me, the hotel doors were pushed open with a bang. Heels struck the marble floor in a frantic rhythm. Liam Stone. Ava chased after me and grabbed my arm. Her nails dug into my flesh. Come back with me. The live stream is still on. Go back and say everything you said was just out of anger. Let go. I said. Liam. Ava burst into tears. Her makeup was a complete mess. I'm begging you. Okay. My dad is watching upstairs. Your dad is watching upstairs. So you came to beg me. When you told me to kneel on stage. Was your dad watching then? Ava opened her mouth. Let go. I said a second time. She did not. Liam. I was wrong. The bonus is all yours. Every dollar. I'll make Ryan return his share. Ava. I pried her fingers away one by one. You said just now that if I got on my knees and begged you, you'd pretend nothing happened. Now you get on your knees and beg me. And I'll pretend nothing happened. Ava's expression froze. She stood in the early winter night wearing a custom evening gown and 5-inch heels, trembling in the wind. Behind us, a few heads peeked out from the hotel entrance. Phones raised and recording. You want me to kneel here? Just now. You wanted me to kneel in front of 800 people. Here. There are only a few. Ava's lips trembled like a sieve. Liam. You've changed. I turned to leave. Liam. Come back. I'll give you company shares. Anything you want. After walking 20 steps, I heard a dull sound behind me. The sound of knees hitting tile. I stopped. I knelt. Ava's voice came from behind me, trembling with tears and gritted teeth. Liam. I knelt. Come back. I turned around. Ava was kneeling on the hotel entrance tiles. The skirt of her evening gown spread across the ground. Her makeup had been completely washed away by tears. Ryan stood 3 steps behind her. His face livid. I knelt. Come back. Go back in and say you won't revoke the technical license. I looked at Ava kneeling on the ground. Suddenly, I remembered a winter day 5 years ago, when she wore a white puffer jacket outside the county clerk's office, hopping in place and saying she was cold, insisting I give her my scarf. Back then, she had dimples when she smiled. Ava. I'll send you the divorce agreement tomorrow. You're kneeling for that $1.1 million. Not for me. I turned and left. This time, no footsteps sounded behind me. Only the wind and her suppressed sobs. I hailed a taxi and gave an address in the old district. My phone kept vibrating in my pocket. But I had silenced everything. On the 13th vibration, I took it out and glanced at it. Lowell from legal had sent another message. Mr. Stone. Can we meet? The original agreement is with me. I replied. On my way. Deep inside an alley. A single incandescent bulb swayed on a wire. The third door was a wooden door wrapped in rusted metal. I pushed it. And it creaked open. Inside was one table, 2 chairs, and a desk lamp. Lowell sat behind the table wearing reading glasses. In front of him was a brown craft envelope. When he saw me come in, he removed his glasses and wiped them. Sit. I sat. Lowell pushed the envelope toward me. Take a look. I opened the envelope and pulled out the stack of papers. The cover read, Technical Equity Agreement. On the lower right were my signature, Charles Carter's signature, and the company seal. The date was 5 years ago. Equity ratio, 10%. This has been with you the whole time. Chairman Carter told me to lock it in the safe. But I secretly kept the original and put a copy in the safe. I thought it might be useful someday. Chairman Carter doesn't know. He doesn't. Lowell put his glasses back on. But I heard about what happened at the gala tonight. Mr. Stone. What do you plan to do next? My phone vibrated again. It was a group chat created by Mark from engineering. More than 30 people in it were all from the engineering department. Mark wrote. Liam. Our whole department supports you. Below it came a string of +1. Then Mark sent another message. Ryan secretly downloaded a copy of the source repository this afternoon. Should we call the police? I looked up at Lowell. Attorney Lowell. I'm going to dismantle the company. How? Revoke the technical license. Shut down the core business. Use the technical equity agreement to sue for shareholder rights. How much can you handle inside the company's legal department? Lowell smiled. 6 people. 3 of them were trained by me. Good. I placed the agreement back into the envelope and stood. Mr. Stone. Lowell called after me. One more thing. When the agreement was signed 5 years ago, Chairman Carter said something. He said once Liam had results, he would give him the remaining shares. He still has 15%. Originally, he planned to transfer it to you over 10 years, 1.5% per year. But later, He changed his mind. Ryan. I said. Lowell nodded. Court at 8 tomorrow morning. I'll help you. I shook his hand. His hand was rough. And his grip was firm. Attorney Lowell. What's today's date? The 30th. December 30th. Perfect. I pushed open the door and stepped out. The alley light was still swaying. I took out a cigarette and lit it. The flame illuminated the calluses on my palm. The ones I got from moving equipment in Africa. The last time Ava touched these hands. She said they were rough. I exhaled smoke. Tomorrow would be long. At 7:30 the next morning. I appeared downstairs at the company. The security guard froze when he saw me. Mr. Stone. I swiped my card and entered. A few people in the lobby saw me and quickly lowered their heads like they had seen a ghost. The elevator doors opened. Ryan was inside. He wore a navy suit and carried a Starbucks coffee. When he saw me, his face twitched. He was alone in the elevator. I did not step in. Liam. Why are you standing there? Come in. You come out. What for? I'm using the elevator alone. Ryan's face darkened. You mother. Ryan. Last night Ava knelt. You didn't. You must be feeling lucky. Today. It's your turn. Ryan rushed out. What the hell do you mean? Ava went home crying all night. And Chairman Carter's blood pressure shot to 180. Just wait for the legal letter. Legal letter. Perfect. I prepared one too. I entered the elevator and pressed the button for the 17th floor. Before the doors closed, Ryan shouted outside. Liam Stone. You're nothing. Without Ava. You're not even. The elevator doors closed. 17th floor. Chairman's office. Charles Carter sat behind the executive desk. 2 documents lay in front of him. Ava sat on the sofa beside him. Her eyes were swollen. Her makeup light. I pushed open the door and entered. Ava shot to her feet. Liam. Sit. Charles raised a hand to stop her. Liam. Sit. I sat across from him. I heard about last night. Young couples fight. That's normal. You revoke the technical license. And I'll pay the bonus as usual. As for Ryan, I'll send him to a branch office. Dad. Ava became anxious. Charles glared at her. And she shut up. Chairman Carter. Your blood pressure hit 180 last night. Did you take your medication? Charles's brow jumped. Liam. Don't speak out of anger. You've worked under me for 5 years. Have I treated you poorly? 5 years ago. You had me sign a technical equity agreement promising me 10%. Later. You changed it to 1.5% per year over 10 years. Did you ever tell me when you changed that? Charles's expression stiffened for an instant. Ava cut in. Liam. The agreement was my dad's decision. What does that have to do with Ryan? Last year. Ryan claimed a $100,000 travel expense for San Francisco. He only stayed there 3 days. Then spent the next 7 in Las Vegas. Do you know how much he lost and what he used to fill the hole? Ava turned toward Charles. Charles's face darkened. Liam. Where did you learn this? Africa. Every communication device used in the mining project was registered under my name. Ryan used the company laptop to connect to my VPN. Everything he did is clear on the back end. Charles stood and walked to the window with his back to us. The office was silent for more than 10 seconds. Then he turned. Liam. What do you want? What belongs to me? The technical license is mine. The 10% shares in the agreement are mine. And every penny of dividends I should have received over 5 years. Then I leave. Charles stared at me for a long time. Have you thought this through? If you leave, this company collapses. That's your problem. Liam. You are still my son-in-law. Chairman Carter. I cut him off. Last night, when your daughter was kneeling outside the hotel begging me, you were upstairs watching. Weren't you? You made her kneel. Ava jerked her head toward her father. Dad. Charles pressed his lips into a line. You made her kneel to me because you thought I would soften. But you miscalculated. I don't soften anymore. Ava's voice began to tremble. Liam. What are you saying? My dad. Your dad was in the executive suite on the 18th floor last night. When you knelt. He was standing by the window watching. Ava's face went completely white. She turned to Charles. And the light in her eyes dimmed little by little. Dad. You made me kneel. Charles did not look at her. Liam. Name your price. I've been very clear. I take what's mine. You keep what's yours. What's yours? Charles sneered. You think the technology patent belongs to you. The RD used company resources. The development records are on my private server. From the first line to the last. I wrote every bit of code myself. Chairman Carter. Do you want me to print out 5 years of commit records for you? There was a knock on the office door. Lowell pushed it open with a folder in his hand. Chairman Carter. Mr. Stone. The court summons just arrived. Mr. Stone is suing the company to exercise shareholder rights and settle 5 years of dividends. Charles's face turned iron gray. One more thing. Lowell pulled out a sheet of paper. Mr. Stone's technical license revocation letter was formally sent to the client at 8 o'clock this morning. At the same time, as a shareholder holding 10% of the company, he formally requests an emergency shareholders meeting to review management changes. Charles slammed his hand onto the desk. Liam Stone. I'm not here to discuss this with you. Ava finally burst into tears. Liam. Do you really have to do this? Can't we just live properly? I looked at her tear-streaked face. Ava. I talked to you about living properly last March. I talked to you again last June. When I returned from Africa in September. I said it again. Every time. You said you knew. Then turned around and went drinking with Ryan. That time you two drank at a hotel until 3 in the morning. I waited outside until 4. Ava's crying stopped. How did you know? I had your phone location on. You told me that spouses needed trust and asked me to turn it off. I didn't. Ava took a step back. Liam. You monitored me. I monitored you for 3 years. I did everything you asked. You sent me to Africa. I went. You asked me to sign agreements. I signed. You asked me to give my bonus to Ryan. I gave it. But this ends here. I turned and walked toward the door. Liam. Ava rushed over and grabbed me. I'll give you anything you want. The company. Money. Everything. I stopped and looked back at her. What I want. You can't give. What? Tell me. Respect. You can't give me that. I walked out of the office. In the hallway. More than 30 people from engineering stood in a line. Mark led them. Liam. Let's go. Meeting at the coffee shop downstairs. The group moved toward the elevator. Behind us. Ava's crying and Charles slamming the table came from inside the office. Lowell was the last to come out. Gently closing the door behind him. At the coffee shop. More than 30 people squeezed around 5 tables. I stood in the middle holding an Americano. Everyone. Over the past 5 years. I led you through 3 core projects. We built the technical architecture independently. The company's true assets are those lines of code. Not that office building. I plan to start my own company. Anyone willing to come with me gets double salary and equal equity distribution. Anyone unwilling to come. I'll arrange a place for you with a partner company at no lower than your current treatment. No one hesitated. Mark was the first to clap. Liam. What are you talking about? We've been waiting for this day. My phone vibrated. Ava sent a text. Liam. I'm pregnant. 2 months. I looked at the message. I had returned from Africa in September and had been with her once in late October. The timeline roughly matched. I set down my coffee and typed. Whose? Ava replied instantly. Yours. Liam Stone. You bastard. I typed again. Get a hospital checkup and send me the report. The other side was silent for 5 minutes. Then she replied with one word. Fine. I placed the phone face down on the table. Mark was still asking. Liam. What are we calling the new company? Deep Blue. I looked out the window. The sunlight was thin. But bright enough. At 3 that afternoon. I sat in Lowell's office. He turned his computer screen toward me. Ryan's $100,000 travel expense was filed as an overseas market inspection. But immigration records show that after entering San Francisco, he flew to Las Vegas on the 3rd day and stayed 7 days. During the time you were in Africa, he went to Las Vegas at least once a month. 12 trips. Transaction flow totaling $200,000. Where did he get that much money? That's where finance comes in. Over the past 2 years, he filed almost $560,000 in reimbursement claims under all kinds of names. 1/3 of the invoices were fake. Whether Chairman Carter knew, we can't say. But the finance director is his cousin. I set down the bank records. Has the police report been filed? Filed. Download records. VPN logs. Git operation records. We packaged everything and sent it over. The Financial Crimes Unit said they'll open a case within 3 days. My phone rang. Ava's name jumped on the screen. I answered. Liam. The ultrasound is out. Are you coming? Send it. 3 minutes later. A photo came through. Ultrasound report. Early intrauterine pregnancy. Approximately 8 weeks. Patient name, Ava Carter. Date, today. A second text followed. Do you believe me now? I did not reply. I looked up at Lowell. What else about Ryan don't I know? Lowell pulled a folded sheet of paper from the drawer and spread it open. It was a relationship map, with Ryan Holt in the center and 7 or 8 nodes radiating outward. He has done several things these past 2 years. First, he infiltrated the approval chain through his cousin in finance. Second, using the title of Chairman Carter's special envoy, he contacted core clients to build his own network. Third, Lowell's finger stopped on a question mark node at the far edge. He has money flows with a group of people in Las Vegas. $300,000 to $400,000 flows out steadily every month. Money laundering. Possibly. That's for the Financial Crimes Unit to investigate. I only handle your agreement. Lowell folded the paper. As for the emergency shareholders meeting, under the bylaws, you hold 10% and may request one. The company must respond within 15 days and hold it within 30. I'll send the letter tomorrow. At 10 that night, I sat in my rented apartment and opened my laptop to connect to the company intranet. Mark sent a message in the group. System maintenance window is open. Kevin on IT duty is one of us. I entered my employee ID. Account disabled. But Mark had left a hidden operations channel. I typed more than a dozen commands into the terminal. Green text began scrolling across the screen. And the source repositories for 3 projects began syncing to my private server. The progress bar climbed slowly. 1%. 2%. At 47%. The system warning appeared. Abnormal connection detected. Mark shouted in the group. No problem. Liam. Kevin is flooding the logs with dummy traffic to bury the alarm. The progress bar climbed to 73%. From outside the window came the sound of a late-night food stall cooking below. The progress bar reached 100%. Backup complete, 42 gigabytes. I cleared the access traces. In the group, 34 check marks lined up neatly in 2 columns. Mark sent one final voice message. Liam. We're out. Take care. My phone rang again. Ava. Liam. Where are you? Say what you need to say. Don't you have anything you want to say today? About the baby. If the baby is mine, I'll acknowledge it. I'll pay child support. Send me the terms by email. The other end was silent for a long time. Liam. This is how you talk to me. I'm pregnant with your child. And your first reaction is to talk about child support. What reaction did you expect from me? I expected you to come back. I won't pursue Ryan's issue anymore. The whole bonus is yours. I'll give you whatever shares you want. You won't pursue Ryan's issue. He took my money. Stole company code. Owed gambling debts in Las Vegas. And used company reimbursements to fill the hole. And you won't pursue it. I don't care about any of that. I just want you back. Ava. I received a backstage recording from the gala today. Ryan said it himself, take the equity slowly and, that old bastard. Her dad. Won't last many more years. He also called you stupid. The other end went completely silent. Then came her suppressed sob. You're lying. I'm not. Ryan. He. She stopped. He what? Silence. A long silence. Send me that recording. Beg me. She fell silent again. Liam. Don't go too far. I'll send the recording to your email tomorrow. Listen to it. Then decide whether you want to keep trusting him. I hung up. I pulled up the audio clip. An unknown number had sent it that afternoon with one line. Backstage recording from the gala. I played it a second time. Ryan's voice was clear. It's done. 1.1 million secured. Next. Just follow what you said and take the equity slowly. That old bastard. Her dad. Won't last many more years. The other voice was unclear. I called the unknown number back. Phone off. I reopened my laptop and searched Chairman's special expense. One expenditure of $165,000. Note, emergency maintenance for mining project equipment. Date, September 15th. Payee, Veda Trading. Legal representative, Zach Holt. Ryan's cousin. I took a screenshot. My phone vibrated one last time. Lowell texted. Financial Crimes Unit update. Ryan's account was frozen this afternoon. The $1.1 million transfer hasn't moved yet. It's under judicial freeze. In the dark. I lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling, which was blurred in the night. Tomorrow would not be peaceful. At 7 the next morning. My phone vibrated me awake. Mark sent a voice message. Liam. Check the company group. Ryan's gone insane. In the company group chat. Ryan had posted a long statement with a red background and white text. Someone inside the company is maliciously spreading false information to slander my reputation. I have retained legal counsel. Regarding the so-called technical independence claim. The company is already evaluating intellectual property ownership. A few people supported him. Most from marketing who were close to him. At 3 in the morning. Mark had posted an engineering department joint statement. All members of the engineering department hereby state, the core technical framework of the mining project was independently developed by engineer Liam Stone. We firmly support engineer Liam Stone in defending his legal rights. 34 signatures. Ava posted in the group. Do not discuss internal company affairs publicly. Relevant engineering personnel. Please report to the 17th floor conference room for a meeting. Mark replied. Sure. Meeting. Then added a smiling emoji. Before leaving. I saw the text Ava had sent at 12:16 a.m. I listened to the recording. Where are you now? I did not reply. At the company lobby. Dozens of eyes fixed on me. I walked to the elevator. The doors opened. And the finance director, Ms. Walker, Ryan's cousin, stood inside. I blocked the doors from closing. Good morning, Ms. Walker. Her face went pale. Gee, good morning, Mr. Stone. That $165,000 chairman's special expense last night. September 15th. Payee, Veda Trading. Legal representative, Zach Holt. Did you verify the authenticity of that maintenance cost? She clutched her bag strap. The corner of her mouth twitching. That was approved by Chairman Carter. So Chairman Carter approves. Ryan takes the money. And you run the process. A family business. Huh. The elevator reached the 17th floor. I did not get off. I pressed 18. Before the doors closed. Her pale face was cut off by the metal panels. At the 18th floor suite. I rang the doorbell. 30 seconds later. Charles Carter opened the door in a robe. His hair was messy. His face gray. He looked like he had not slept all night. Liam. What are you doing here so early? Chairman Carter. Ryan used your name to approve $165,000 through the chairman's special expense channel. The money went to his cousin's company and then to a Las Vegas account. You were played by your own man. Charles gripped the doorframe until his knuckles turned white. Where did you learn this? Someone told me. I can package the bank records, corporate information, and connection records and send them to you. He stepped aside. Come in. The suite living room's floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked half the city skyline. The ashtray on the coffee table was piled with 5 or 6 cigarette butts. Charles sat down and took a sip of cold tea. Liam. What do you want from telling me this? Nothing. I'm just telling you that your good nephew not only stole my bonus, company code, and $165,000 you approved. He also planned to steal your company. In the backstage recording from the gala. He said. That old bastard. Her dad. Won't last many more years. Charles clenched the teacup. Cold tea spilled onto the hem of his robe. Where's the recording? I sent it. He went to the bedroom to get his phone. Came back. Stood by the window. And played it. Ryan's voice came from the speaker. That old bastard. Her dad. Won't last many more years. Once I get the equity. That father and daughter. The recording stopped. Charles held the phone without moving for a long time. I raised him for 10 years. Chairman Carter. I stood. I've said everything I needed to say. How you handle it is your business. But the Financial Crimes Unit will subpoena Ryan no later than the day after tomorrow. I walked toward the door. Behind me came his voice. Liam. Do you know Ava is pregnant? I know. Is the child yours? The ultrasound timeline matches. But who the father is? You know better than I do how long she and Ryan have been sleeping together. Chairman Carter. You're an old fox. I don't believe you never noticed. Charles's lips trembled slightly. But he said nothing. You can handle your daughter yourselves. I'm taking what belongs to me. The elevator doors opened. And Ava was standing inside. She wore a white coat. No makeup. Pale lips. Red eyes. Her whole body seemed smaller. When she saw me, her eyes reddened again. Liam. Morning. You went to see my dad. We were the only two people in the elevator. She stood half a meter from me. There was a trace of perfume on her, mixed with cigarette smoke. She had started smoking. I listened to the recording. Ryan. He said those things because he was drunk and talking nonsense. What kind of attitude is that? I'm explaining to you. Ava. You don't need to explain to me. If you trust him, keep trusting him. If you don't want to trust him, investigate it yourself. The elevator opened on the first floor. Several people in the lobby turned their heads and pretended to look elsewhere. I stepped out. She followed. Liam. Ryan's account was frozen. Was that you? I filed the report. And the 1.1 million. It's mine. After the Financial Crimes Unit finishes the investigation, they'll return it to me. Her lips moved as if she wanted to say something. I stopped and turned back. Ava. You once told me that what matters most in a man is responsibility. Today, I return that sentence to you. What matters most in a woman is having a brain. Your father was played by Ryan. You were deceived by Ryan. I was nearly sold by your entire family. And you're still standing here asking what will happen to Ryan. What you should ask is what will happen to you. I turned and left. Behind me came her very soft sob. But this time, she did not call my name. The sunlight outside the company entrance was dazzling. In the group chat, Mark wrote, Liam. 34 people collectively submitted resignations this morning. Process started. Behind it came more than 30 neat messages. Submitted. I looked up at the 4 words on the rooftop. Ava Stone Technologies. Ava first. Stone second. I withdrew my gaze and walked down the steps. Lowell texted. Emergency shareholders meeting request has been delivered to Chairman Carter's office. They signed for it. They must respond within 15 days. I replied with 2 words. Received. At 11 that morning, the Financial Crimes Unit arrived at the company. 3 cars stopped downstairs. 7 or 8 plainclothes officers entered the elevator and went straight to the 17th floor. 10 minutes later, Ryan was brought out. His hands were not cuffed, but 2 officers walked on either side of him. His face was gray, his lips dry, his suit wrinkled. Everyone in the lobby stopped moving and watched him. He saw me standing near the front desk, and the light in his eyes shifted. He tried to rush at me, but an officer pressed down on his shoulder. Liam Stone. You set me up. I said nothing. Just wait. When I get out, I'll kill you. He was pushed through the revolving door and into a car. The car drove away. The lobby exploded. In the engineering group, Mark sent a fireworks emoji, followed by a long string of firecrackers, clapping, and beer emojis. Someone posted a photo of Ryan being taken away. It was taken secretly, blurry, but recognizable. Lowell called. The Financial Crimes Unit has preliminarily found evidence of embezzlement and money laundering against Ryan. Your $1.1 million transfer is a key piece of evidence and has been frozen. His cousin Ms. Walker from finance was also taken in for questioning. Ava called me 15 times. I did not answer once. At 2 that afternoon, Charles Carter appeared at the company entrance. He had changed into a dark gray suit. His hair combed neatly, but the dark circles under his eyes and the grayness of his face made him look 5 years older. 2 lawyers followed behind him. Lowell was there too. They went straight into the conference room and shut the door. Half an hour later, Lowell came out and found me. Chairman Carter has decided to hold an emergency shareholders meeting next Monday at 9 a.m. He will meet all the demands you raised, temporary technical licensing to guarantee the mining project's completion, and your equity dividends to be paid in cash in one lump sum. Condition is. What condition? He won't get involved in the divorce. He said whatever happens between you and his daughter is between you two. I leaned against the coffee shop counter and looked out at the street. Fine. I can sign a temporary technical licensing agreement to finish the project. But my dividend and equity settlement cannot be short by a single dollar. Lowell nodded. I'll draft the plan. That night at 8. I sat in my rented apartment looking at my phone. In the engineering group, everyone was discussing next week's resignation process. Someone asked where Deep Blue's registered address would be. I replied, decide next week. Ava sent a very long text. I opened it. At first, she talked about Ryan, about the baby, about her father's attitude. The middle 7 or 8 lines I swiped past directly. The final paragraph read, Liam, I sat in the living room last night and thought about everything. You were right. All these years, I kept trusting the wrong person. I thought Ryan's kindness to me was genuine. But after listening to that recording, I didn't sleep all night. I checked his phone and found hundreds of thousands in transfers to someone named Tina, with notes saying urgent Vegas use. And there were messages between him and several women from marketing. Can you imagine? When he pursued me, he said I was the only person he would ever treat well. I read the message twice. Then I typed 3 words. So what? A few minutes later, she replied. So I want to apologize to you. Not for the 1.1 million. For what you said. You said you wanted respect. I never gave you that. I stared at that line. The fluorescent tube in the apartment hummed. Night wind poured through the alley outside, puffing up the curtain. The next afternoon, Finance Director Walker returned. Her eyes were red. Tear tracks on her cheeks. She ignored everyone in the company and walked straight into the finance department, shutting the door. Half an hour later, 3 finance employees walked out of the office one after another, each wearing a different expression. One glanced back, then left. Mark called me. Liam. Finance exploded. Ms. Walker just admitted in an internal meeting that Ryan used her approval rights to run massive false reimbursements. Also, that $165,000 expense. She admitted she released it without verification. Chairman Carter slammed the table in his office so hard the next room heard it. Will she be fired? Not sure. But her approval authority has been frozen. From today on, all financial processes go through the chairman's signature. I hung up. Sunlight streamed through the window, hitting the stack of bank statements on the table. The corners of the paper curled slightly. I picked up my phone and called Lowell. Attorney Lowell. Is the emergency shareholders meeting plan drafted? Drafted. I'll send it to your email this afternoon. Lowell paused. One more thing. The Financial Crimes Unit's preliminary interrogation showed that Ryan transferred part of the stolen money to offshore accounts. The amount is larger than we imagined. Not just your $1.1 million and his $560,000 in reimbursements. There's also a $480,000 company fund transferred away under the name of investment. Chairman Carter sat in his office for 2 hours this afternoon without saying a word. Does Ava know? She should. Someone saw her stay in Chairman Carter's office for a long time this morning. When she came out, her eyes were red. I hung up. My phone screen lit again. Ava texted only 3 words. He ran. I typed. Who ran? Ryan. After coming out from the Financial Crimes Unit, he used the bathroom as an excuse and ran. The entire city is searching for him. I set down the phone and looked out the window. People walked on the opposite side of the street. Traffic crawled slowly in the afternoon sunlight. The wind lifted the curtain, then dropped it again. On the last day of December, Ryan ran. Charles Carter's company had half collapsed. Ava had finally seen what kind of man she had trusted for 10 years. And I sat in a rented apartment with the agreement Lowell had kept for 5 years lying by my hand. The tea on the table had gone cold. I went to the kitchen and boiled another pot. When the water boiled, the kettle whistled. My phone vibrated again. Lowell sent a voice message. Mr. Stone. Good news. The money Ryan tried to transfer overseas before running has already been frozen by the bank at the Financial Crimes Unit's request, including the $1.1 million transferred to him. It should be unfrozen and returned to your account before next Monday. I stood by the window with a steaming cup of tea, looking at the incandescent bulb in the alley swaying in the wind. Next Monday was the emergency shareholders meeting. And the first day of the new year. Monday morning. 8:30. I arrived at the company. The suit was new. Bought yesterday. Dark gray. Well-tailored. The tie was black. Knotted plainly. The receptionist was someone I did not recognize. She glanced at me timidly. Then lowered her head and busied herself. There were not many people in the lobby. But everyone who saw me wore a complicated expression. Respect. Curiosity. Flattery. Fear. At 9 sharp. The door to the 17th floor conference room opened. More than a dozen people sat around the oval table. Charles sat in the chairman's seat. Ava sat on his left. Today she wore a camel coat over a black turtleneck. No makeup. But her hair was neatly combed. Her face was still pale. But her eyes looked calmer than before. To Charles's right sat a middle-aged man I did not recognize. Probably a newly hired lawyer. Lowell sat beside me with 2 folders spread before him. The room was quiet for several seconds. More than a dozen gazes landed on me. Shareholders. Welcome to this emergency shareholders meeting. Charles spoke. His voice was level. But he looked much more haggard than the last time I saw him. Even his hair was not as carefully arranged. This meeting has 2 main agenda items. First, confirmation of Mr. Liam Stone's rights as the holder of the core technical patent and settlement of his equity. Second, proposals concerning changes in company management. The middle-aged lawyer beside him stood and pushed a document to the center of the table. Based on the original technical equity agreement submitted by Mr. Liam Stone and the company's operating data over the past 5 years, the fact that Mr. Stone holds 10% of the company's shares is confirmed. According to the audited results under the company charter, the dividends due to him over the past 5 years total $1.7 million. Together with the project bonus of $1.1 million. The total amount is $2.8 million. Someone in the room sucked in a breath. A few minority shareholders in the corner whispered to each other. Second item. Charles continued. Ryan Holt is under investigation for suspected embezzlement and has fled. The company has decided to remove him from the position of Deputy General Manager and recover all company assets he misappropriated. As for the replacement candidate, Chairman Carter, I said. Everyone looked at me. I have no proposal regarding management changes. How the company adjusts its structure is your business. I came today to discuss only 2 matters. Once my shares and dividends are fully settled, I sign. I will also sign a temporary technical license agreement for the mining project. Valid for 3 months. Enough to complete delivery. Then I leave. Charles looked at me. His lips moving. Liam. Chairman Carter. I am now a shareholder. Not your son-in-law. Business is business. Lowell pushed 2 agreements to the center of the table. I picked up the pen. Signed the equity settlement confirmation. Then flipped to the last page of the temporary technical license agreement and signed my name. The pen moved over the paper with a soft scratch. The conference room was so quiet I could hear the central air conditioning. Ava sat across from me and said nothing. But I could feel her watching me. Watching my pen. Watching the hand signing my name. I pushed the signed documents back. Lowell checked them and stood. The equity settlement and technical license agreements have both been signed. The $2.8 million will be transferred to Mr. Stone's account within 7 business days. Mr. Stone's rights and obligations as a shareholder are now settled. As of today, he no longer holds company shares. I stood. The chair legs left dents in the carpet that slowly rebounded. Chairman Carter. I nodded to Charles. Then I looked at Ava. Her lips moved as if she wanted to say something. But no sound came out. I said nothing and walked out of the conference room. In the hallway, everyone from engineering was waiting by the elevator. 34 people crowded together. When they saw me come out, every pair of eyes lit up. Mark nearly dropped the laptop in his hands. Liam. Signed. Signed. Let's go. The group poured into the elevator. As the elevator doors closed, I looked back once at the wooden conference room door at the end of the hallway. It was closed, with a sliver of light leaking through the gap. "Liam," Mark shouted inside the elevator. "When are we registering the company?" "This afternoon." "Address?" "Third floor across the street." "I've checked it. 3,000 square feet. Enough for now." The elevator filled with cheers. At 3 that afternoon, I stood inside the empty third-floor office across the street. Sunlight came in through the floor-to-ceiling windows and fell across the cement floor. In the corner were cardboard boxes and waste papers left by the previous company. Mark led several guys in measuring dimensions. Someone lay on the floor drawing wiring diagrams. Someone else taped an A4 sheet to the window and wrote with a marker. "Deep Blue Tech Temporary Office." Lowell called. "Don't worry about the money. The $2.8 million will arrive next week. Ryan is still being tracked. But they haven't caught him yet. Ava called me this afternoon." "What did she say?" "She asked where your new company is." "Did you tell her?" "I said you asked me to keep it confidential." She didn't say anything and hung up. I stood by the window and looked at the Ava Stone Technologies building across the street. The glass curtain wall on the 17th floor reflected the afternoon light. The black metal characters on the rooftop stood steady in the wind. I withdrew my gaze and looked back at the brothers installing wires. "Mark." "Yeah. Start work next Monday. This week. Move the equipment over. Finish the wiring. And set up the workstations. We begin before the new year is over." Mark looked back and gave me a thumbs up. Sunlight filled the whole empty room. Dust floating in the beams. It was an afternoon at the end of December. The air carried a trace of cold. But the light through the windows was warm. On Wednesday afternoon, Ava came. I was crouching in the corner of the new office checking cable trays. Mark was on a ladder pulling network cable. He lifted his chin toward the doorway. I looked back and saw Ava standing there. A camel coat wrapped around her. She held a paper bag. Her hair was loose. No makeup. But she looked better than last time. At least her eyes were no longer red. "How did you find this place?" I stood and dusted off my hands. "Lowell didn't tell me." "Mark did." Ava glanced at Mark. Mark shrank on the ladder and pretended he had heard nothing. "Come in." She walked in and looked around. The office was still empty and unfinished. Dust cloths covered the floor. 2 boxes of unopened equipment sat in the corner. A row of desks had been set up. But the monitors had not been connected. She sat on an upside-down cardboard box and placed the paper bag by her feet. "You know about Ryan?" she said. "I know. He ran. The Financial Crimes Unit said he smuggled himself overseas. The money was frozen. So he probably doesn't have much cash. But my dad was still so angry he ended up in the hospital." "What illness?" "High blood pressure. Old problem. This time. Anger hit him hard. He stayed in the hospital for 2 days. The doctor said he can't take any more stimulation." She looked at her fingers. Her nails were now a simple nude shade. "Without diamonds. He asked me to apologize to you. He said he misjudged someone his whole life. He thought Ryan could be useful. And in the end, Ryan stabbed him. He chose him." "I know." Ava looked up at me. "I didn't come to speak for him. I came to give you this." She pushed the paper bag over. I opened it and looked. Inside was a thick stack of documents. On top was a handwritten letter. The handwriting was messy. It was Charles's. There were only a few lines. "Liam. I wronged you. The agreement issue was my selfishness. Ryan was my blindness. From now on, I won't interfere in the company. You and Ava should decide your own matters." I set the letter down. Below it were supplemental explanations to the technical equity agreement and a new equity distribution plan. The 15% shares Charles held. He had drafted a new proposal saying that if I was still willing, we could renegotiate. After reading it, I put the papers back into the bag. "Thank Chairman Carter for me. But there's no need." Ava's lips moved. "I guessed you'd say that." "You guessed and still came. Because I still owe you an apology." She stood and went to the floor-to-ceiling window. Afternoon light hit the side of her face. "Not for my dad. Not for Ryan. For myself. You were right that day. The respect you wanted. I couldn't give it to you because I never saw you as someone I should respect. I treated you as part of me. I arranged everything you wanted or did. You only had to obey. She paused. I was wrong. Not starting from the day I asked you to sign. I was wrong from 5 years ago. Mark had somehow gotten down from the ladder and was hiding in the corner pretending to adjust equipment. But the entire room could hear. Another guy simply crouched by the wall and looked at his phone. His ears upright. I looked at Ava. And then. She smiled bitterly. I threw away all of Ryan's things and deleted all his contacts. I went to the hospital for another checkup. The baby is fine. Liam. I'm going to give birth to this child. If you want to acknowledge the baby. Acknowledge the baby. If not. I can raise the child myself. I said that day. If the child is mine. I'll acknowledge it. I won't avoid the support I should provide. I don't want your child support. Ava turned and looked at me. Light slowly gathering in her eyes. I want you to let the child know who his father is. Liam. I didn't come to beg you to go back. I know you won't go back. But I want this child to have the chance to know his father one day. I looked at her. Sunlight poured from behind her. Standing in the light. She looked like the girl from 5 years ago at the county clerk's office. Hopping in place and asking for my scarf because she was cold. Only now. Her eyes had lost that entitled willfulness. Something else had appeared there. I could not name it. But it was no longer the same. Okay. I said. Tell me after the baby is born. Ava nodded. She turned toward the door. Took 2 steps. Then stopped. Liam. The name Deep Blue. Does it mean what I think it means? I looked at her back. Ava is red. Stone is blue. Deep blue looks better than red. She stood with her back to me for 2 seconds. Her shoulders moving slightly. I'm leaving. After the door closed. Mark edged over from the corner. Liam. Ms. Carter left. Well. She seems different. I lowered my head and continued wiring. Saying nothing. On New Year's Day. Deep Blue Tech's registration was completed. I stood in the new office and signed our first contract. The partner was the client from the previous mining project. After learning about Ryan, they contacted me proactively and said they were willing to hand the follow-up technical maintenance business to me. 3-year contract. $2 million. Liam. First win. Mark lifted the contract and spun around the office. More than 30 people surrounded him. Slapping tables and whistling. I sat behind the newly purchased desk. On it was a laptop that did not even have its operating system installed yet. The file tray beside it was empty, containing only 1 pen. My phone lit up. Lowell sent a message. The $2.8 million has arrived. Congratulations. Also, Ryan has been detained by local police overseas. Extradition is being processed. I took a screenshot of the text and saved it into a folder. I renamed the folder New Beginning. Outside the office, someone had taped up a red paper banner. In crooked handwriting. It said, Deep Blue, Wide Sea, Open Sky. Mark wrote it. The handwriting was ugly. But the meaning was right. The guys brought over a microwave and a water dispenser. Milk tea and takeout piled across a table. Someone turned on a Bluetooth speaker. And music floated through the empty office. I held a cup of hot water and stood by the window. Across the street, the rooftop sign of Ava Stone Technologies gleamed in the New Year sunlight. Yesterday, Ava had sent me one message. Only a smiling emoji. I sent one back. Downstairs, people came and went. On the first day of the new year, the city looked no different from yesterday. But for me, everything had changed. The phone in my hand vibrated again. Lowell said the emergency shareholders meeting matter was fully complete. My name had been removed from the shareholder register. And the temporary technical license had officially taken effect. Everything was clean. Mark leaned in from behind. Liam. Do you think that bastard Ryan can really be extradited? Yes. He can't run. And Ava. Mark. Yeah. Work. Mark laughed and went back to debugging the equipment. Sunlight filled the entire office. Dust danced in the beams. I set down the water and returned to my desk. Then opened the laptop. A blank document waited for me to type the first line. The New Year sunlight came through the window. Warm and soft. I typed. Deep Blue Tech established. Across the street, the black metal letters on the rooftop of Ava Stone Technologies were gilded gold by sunlight. Wind slipped in through the window gap, carrying a faint chill and the smell of a breakfast stand in the distance. I glanced at my phone. Ava's smiling emoji was still hanging in the chat box. I did not reply. But I did not delete it either. There were a few cans of beer left in the mini fridge Mark had bought yesterday. I stood, took one from the box, and pulled the tab. Foam hissed up. Mark looked back and raised the milk tea in his hand. I lifted the beer can toward him. "Happy New Year," I said. Mark laughed. "Happy New Year, Liam." The beer was cold. It slid down my throat and made me shiver. But the sun on my back was warm. Those two forces collided inside me. And for a moment, I could not tell which one was winning. On the first day of the new year, I sat in the office of my own company. Across the street, all the things that once trapped me, Charles Carter's calculations, Ryan Holt's greed, Ava's contempt, had all become the past. I set down the beer can and placed my hands on the keyboard. The screen light reflected on my face. The wind lifted the curtain, lowered it, and lifted it again. Traffic across the street moved slowly. Sunlight hit the glass curtain wall and reflected a bright sheet of light. I typed the second line. Project 1, Technical Architecture Reconstruction. Led, Liam Stone. Behind me came the sound of keyboards. More than 30 people began working. The clacking keys mixed together like a flock of birds opening their wings at the same time in the morning. My phone lit up one last time. An unknown number. The location showed overseas. The text had only 2 words. "Sorry, bro." I stared at it for 3 seconds. "Ryan." I pressed delete. Then blocked the number. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, spreading across the desk in one broad sheet of light. I sat in that light and kept typing. That's all for today's story. Remember to subscribe and leave a comment.